the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. Who said that the Strait of Hormuz was not going to be a problem and that gas prices were going to come back down and that the Iranians were not in control? I think it's amazing that more people weren't talking about it. Even the the big mainstream people who get paid a lot of money to talk about these things. But I said so from day one, that the Trump administration only had to exercise its ability to open up the Strait of Hormuz. In this case, President Trump put forth a blockade to keep the Iranians from causing trouble in the Strait. We did some negotiations. J.D. Vance went over and tried to talk to them and give them every mechanism to reach some sort of rationality possible, which they refused, and that then allowed Trump to do the blockade, the naval blockade, and strait's all open. Price of barrel of oil is going to be around $45 very, very soon, a couple weeks. But big pundits, people who should know better, were saying that gas is going to be $4, $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon in the summertime. It's April of 2026, and the whole Iranian thing has just been a few months. By the time everybody gets to the big 2050 celebrations, and I just came from Washington, D.C., so I've seen all the T-shirts that they had out, getting ready for the big celebrations this summer for the 250th anniversary of the United States. By the time everybody gets there, and there's the big MMA fight that's going to be on the White House grounds, this whole thing is going to be over. No one's going to remember. Given the way the education system is these days, I doubt there's many people in the world who are going to be able to even spell Iran, let alone remember any of this war or the Strait of Hormuz. But as far as people who predicted that this was going to happen, let me explain a little bit about the speculators that are out there. And I know quite a lot of them. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money speculating, inflating themselves like peacocks to show that they have all this great mass and this great ability to read the tea leaves and the consulting types. And when it comes down to it, they don't know how to make a potato into a French fry. And it's easy to expose them pretty fast. In this case, the speculators wanted to see the price of oil go up. They wanted to see the market go in the negative direction so they could justify price increases and raping and pillaging the economy at scale. That's essentially what was going on. The United States essentially has independent energy now. It's not a switch you can just turn on in a moment, but that's kind of how it is for the United States. That means the rest of the world is getting oil from someplace. If they're not buying it from the United States, they're buying it from that region of the world through the Strait of Hormuz, and having a blockage there causes disruptions to China and causes disruptions to Europe. And without doubt, China was kind of caught as the monkey in the middle on this whole thing, and Trump played it wonderfully. Did anybody see it? Of course, everybody. I mean, they should have seen it. They could have seen it. Probably many did see it, but they didn't say it because they wanted to profit off of it. And I said it. I said it from the very first seconds of the Iranian invasion. And if I had been an advisor with Trump in the White House, I would have told him, and I think a lot of people told him, the same thing. Yeah, you got this. Iran is a media, just like China is. Iran, North Korea, Russia, these are all paper tigers that the media creates to create a horse race, to create drama that they can write about, and especially lazy writers. A lot of these people in media these days, I think it's always been a case But these days, there's a lot of really lazy people who get into media reporting. And there's even worse who report on politics, because if they're not energetic enough to get into politics themselves, they report on it. And so they develop a few contacts, they go to lunch with them, and they have a 10-minute workday, essentially, by having these people feed them, their sources feed them information just enough to appease their editors at the big New York Times or CNN or MSNBC. And then they know to cover up their laziness, if they put a political slant to it that goes against the current administration, like in Trump in this case, or the Republican Party, or anything that's against big government policies, then their editors aren't going to be too mad at them for lazy reporting. And it's the game, been going on for a long time. In this case, speculators wanted the price of oil to spike. They wanted a reason to talk about any excuse that Trump was going to be on the downside of history, and that by summertime no one would be afford to buy anything. Cost of goods was going to go up everywhere. Everybody was looking for a reason to invoke price increases, and they couldn't do it. They weren't going to be able to do it because the situation was under control. Like I said a few weeks ago, and everyone was saying, "Oh, the gas is going to spike to $5." And when I was just in D.C., and you walk around and talk to people, and the gas was $4.10 or so just outside of town. Most places from Cincinnati to Washington, D.C., from $3.60 to $4.10, pretty high. But we were in a military engagement, and there was a lot of there were a lot of people taking advantage of the volatility in the news reporting, thinking that the Strait of Hormuz trouble means increased oil prices, and that was not going to be the case. So after some brief negotiations, which I thought was good and tasteful, J.D. Vance basically came and said, "Yeah, how are you guys feeling right now?" And they said, "We still want to provoke and have executions and pretend like we have power." So J.D. Vance came back, and Trump said, "Okay, then here comes a blockade. You guys aren't going to be able to do anything. You have to ask permission to breathe." And that's what's going on. The Strait of Hormuz is back open, and the price of oil is on its way down. And I would say that by May, June, the summer season, the Memorial Day weekend, I think the price of oil will be down around $45 a gallon or a barrel. And that there'll be price decreases everywhere, reluctantly put forth. And Trump knows it, but there'll be no excuse to have them. And that a lot of very villainous people wanted to use this political engagement in Iran as an excuse to jack up prices everywhere, saying, "We're afraid that the price of oil is going to go up per barrel, so price of chicken nuggets are going to be higher, price of chickens are going to go higher, price of milk, cookies, cooking oil, and tires, everything's going to go up a little bit." But that was based on historical precedent driven by a lazy political reporting narrative that thinks that they understand the depth of the situation when they haven't adapted themselves to the fluid conditions of the modern era. Trump knows how to call the bluff, because the bluff was always on the table. The bluff is there with China. The bluff has always been there with North Korea and Russia. That's why you don't hear about the Ukraine war anymore. The story fell apart, and no one knows what to do with it. They don't know how to call balls and strikes in this environment. Trump always understood it. I understood it. I know a lot of other people had to have understood it, but they didn't say it. I certainly did say it, and I think the Trump people knew how they were going to play it, and to me, it was obvious what they were going to do. But the Iranians were never going to be in control of the Strait of Hormuz. They were going to be allowed to have a peaceful discussion and to have some autonomy in having some sort of self-reliance. And Trump really wanted the Iranian people to come forth and take over their own government, run themselves, not have American involvement in the whole situation. We don't want to be the world's police. So by removing all the bad guys, they wanted the Iranians to stand up for themselves and take it over on their own. So that situation was allowed to play out to the degree that we could put up with it. And that was essentially a few weeks. And when the Iranian people didn't stand up for themselves, now they're broken people. I mean, they've spent years being punished and executed just for saying the wrong thing and not wearing the blanket on their head. There's a lot of bad stuff that went on, and the people are pretty broken up over it. And they don't have the guts to go defend themselves. So we had to go forward as the United States and take care of everybody's problems for them, for a while anyway, a little while. And that is to create a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz to open up shipping lanes. Because the Iranians are not going to be allowed to process that kind of terrorism. The bad guys out there, speculators, media types, globalists that are trying to use these antagonisms to reshape the world of political order they want, have been using this chaos as a driving condition to essentially create tactical conditions that they profit from. And that is certainly the case with speculators. Price of oil should never be over $100 per barrel. It needs to be done under 50, and I think it needs to be in the 30s and 20s because it's so abundant. It's out there everywhere, and it really, especially opened up the markets in the United States. They should bring the prices of oil down for everybody, everywhere in the world. And the Strait of Hormuz issue is only there through policy as a bottleneck, but it won't take long to completely alleviate that. This was never going to be a stalemate that was going to put Trump in trouble, and it was going to wreck the summer prices and the pricing structure going into the midterms. Just telling you, the pricing structure is going to come down. This is the way you do it. You do it quickly in 2026, get it out of the way. It was always lingering in the background as a hostile agent, Iran was. And you take them off the table so they can't harm your 2026 economy with terrorism and silly things like closing down the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump sent in the Navy. The Navy secured the shipping lanes, and everything's going to flow just fine. And price of oil is going to come down dramatically very quickly. But what you have to worry about is why there's so many speculators, even on the American side, even within Wall Street, who were so eager for bad news so they could justify price increases without increasing performance or the product itself as far as a quality item. Everybody's looking for the easy, lazy money, and it's pretty sick to watch. And that's certainly the case with the Strait of Hormuz. And I heard a lot of very smart people say, well, we didn't see that coming, the blockade, the naval blockade. I said so. I said so hours after the initial attack in Iran. Iran was never in control. It was never going to be in control. It hasn't been in control for years. It was just made to look that way so speculators could drive up prices and have easy incomes off the chaos. But there was never a real problem. And Trump called bluff and put assets where they need to be, and straits open and will remain open perpetually. And price of oil will be down, and the price of gas is going to be down. The price of all goods and services are going to be coming down, and quickly, because of the actions taken to remove Iran as a threat to economic freedoms, not just the United States, but around the world. And China is going to be in a whole heap of trouble because they rely on that chaos to perpetuate their own efforts, which are now dramatically in jeopardy. I'd say Xi Jinping is going to be bringing more than a few cupcakes to President Trump, asking for relief from the global pressure that this great foreign policy coming out of this current White House has enacted on the world that has really taken the wheels off the China machine of menace. It's going to be fun to watch. Good move on Trump, but can't say I didn't see it coming because I did. And I told everybody, I hope some people listened to me and made a lot of money off my statements, because you could have become very wealthy in just a few weeks if you just listened. Maybe next time you will. I'm Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. And have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening. Coming soon, the politics of heaven.